Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 579. Mr.
Ooh, big old Gatorade argument in the chat. Huzzah!
What is this Gatorade? This has to be a bleed over from Blinkers Off.
No, it's a Super Bowl prop thing. You can bet on the color of the Gatorade.
Oh.
Yeah.
I missed Shoddy's thing. I saw the Blue Frost Gatorade comment first. So Shoddy says, I think the Gatorade stays purple. Can't break the streak. Carl Ramrod says, Blue Frost Gatorade forever. Correct answer. And then Shoddy says, I like the Glacier Cherry. I don't think there's a terrible... Well, I don't really like the orange ones. They get super acidic to me. But other than that, I really don't have an issue with any Gatorade flavor.
I still love the Fruit Punch. But the Blue Frost is very strong choice as well. If we're going Super Bowl betting, Shoddy mentioned it, 2 straight purples for Kansas City. So a lot of people assume if Kansas City will be purple again. However, they did go with the red flavor the first time that they won. So they have changed it up. To me, the lime green one, if you're going to bet any of them, especially if you think Philadelphia is going to win, is the interesting one because they did go lime green last time that they won. And in a kind of uncharacteristic thing, they dumped Gatorade when they won the NFC title game this year. And that was also lime green. By the way, their colors are also lime green, which is often a way that you can kind of draw the line between the Super Bowl color Gatorade and the team. So if I was going to bet any of them and I like the Eagles, I'd be going lime green. I actually made a case that you should bet lime green instead of Eagles money line because the price is 2.5x. And so, like, if you're going to bet the Eagles, you might as well like sprinkle a little bit, pull a little aside on the lime green Gatorade because I do think it's highly likely. I think the Chiefs are a much more difficult handicap when it comes to Gatorade color.
What about the cucumber one? I don't mind the cucumber one. It doesn't bother me. I've got to be like, it's got to be like, 100 degrees, which for 6 months, 7 months of the year where I live now, it's going to be like that. It's got to be really hot. I've got to be feeling dehydrated, but there's something refreshing to me about that.
If it depends, like there would have to be like 8 flavors not there for me to go cucumber. Like that's the thing. Like wherever you buy Gatorade,
true,
every single flavor is available. So rarely do I dip past like the top 2 for me. Because there's no point in going to like the 3rd, 4th, 5th one because the first 2 are always there. Like if you're buying them from like a gas station or grocery store, or whatever, they always have all the options. So, I rarely dip past it. And yeah, the green is interesting too because you get yellow, which is like a semi-popular flavor. You get green, and then you get like the dark green one too. So you get multiple Gatorades with the green call.
Austin says he stopped drinking Gatorade a while ago. Only water and milk for me at this point. So there's that famous line from Anchorman, right, where it's like it's so hot, milk was a bad choice. That's actually scientifically incorrect. Milk is actually better for you than water if you're very dehydrated because the sugar fat that is in milk is better at rehydrating you faster than just straight water. True story.
What you're telling me is Anchorman is not a scientifically accurate film?
I know. I was so disappointed when I
blows me away.
Well, all right. Enough science talk.
Whether or not that trident could have flown in that manner, is that what I'm hearing?
Or that punting a dog would just fly that far and the dog would survive that.
Yeah, there you go. Now I have to question my whole life now.
Okay, RFK, go away. All right, we've got Tampa Bay Downs late pick 5, Sam F. Davis Stakes Day coming up on Saturday, and 3 races on the turf. It looks like the weather's going to be nice and sunny and warm, so we should have a firm turf course condition. I thought this was a fun sequence. Other than the 2 dirt races where the Suncoast and the Sam F. Davis, I'm like, I don't know. There's nobody that stands out in those races. So could make for good betting opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, based on my ticket, I think it's a pretty good betting opportunity because I'm chucking some favorites. The turf races definitely a little more interesting from a handicapping perspective. The dirt races feels like, you could throw some darts in these dirt races. I'm going to throw a couple in the Sam F. Davis, but it's going to come down to the dirt races whether or not this pays. So I feel like you get one price out of the 3 in the turf races, and then if the dirt races blow up, this becomes a pretty nice sequence.
Well, let's find out how we're going to play it. The late pick 5 at Tampa on Saturday, February 8th. Riders up. All right, the first leg of the Tampa Bay Downs late pick 5 on Saturday, February 8th. Race 8 is a 1 1/8 mile, lots of eights there. A 1 1/8 mile turf route for not 8, but 10 older fillies and mares at the end. 2x allowance optional claiming level. Where'd you go on top here?
I went with the chalk on top here. Give me the 6. Lucky combination, Christophe Clement, Irad, Ortiz Jr. Just a logical horse in this spot. Has been consistent throughout its career, getting second off the layoff, ran on synthetic last time, switching over to turf. Not a big issue considering what we have from a turf form in the prior starts. Has some tactical speed, but doesn't necessarily need the lead. Now, I'm worried that the speed you see on paper isn't quite as good as the speed you're going to actually see the last couple races, 1.5 mile and 5/16 on turf. You're seeing 50 and 52 opening halves. So I expect that the 6 is going to be a little bit further back than what we've necessarily seen in the past, but at the same time, it makes a ton of sense to me. Your second choice on the morning line is the 10, going to be bet down. It's a Chad Brown, Dylan Davis horse, and it's coming off a long layoff. So I'd rather take the 6 and a little bit of a price than include both the 6 and the 10 on the ticket.
We saw this race almost exactly the same way. We each went 2 deep, used the same 2 horses. I ended up putting the 2 on top over the 6. The 6 doesn't always seem to have like that finishing kick, though. You're getting Irad aboard and he can finish as well as just about anybody out there. The 2, at least, you look at just those last 2 starts, they've been here over this turf course, and I know it's 25K claimers 2 back, but the horse, stalked, pounced from the rail, won impressively, and then stretched out to the same 1.1 miles distance with Gallardo aboard, a good stalking trip, and then was able to just kind of gradually pull away. Nobody was gaining on her there. So you're coming off of back-to-back career best buyers for the 2 horse. She's going to need to continue to improve if she's going to beat the 6 because of where the 6 is kind of set that benchmark at. She's a 5-year-old, low 80s seems to be her threshold for that. So the 2 coming off of 76 needs some improvement, but 3rd off the layoff, back to the same course and distance, same jockey, same trainer, of course. So I put the 2 on top, but yeah, we saw it the same way. Isn't it interesting that the 10, no shot to Dylan Davis, fantastic rider, 28% riding for Chad Brown with a 42% flat bet profit. Flavien Prat's in town. Flavien Prat's not riding this horse, and Dylan Davis didn't ride this horse last out or ever. This is a horse that's red flag number 1. Number 2, she hasn't raced since July of 2023, and you look at the breeding, they could get some good money for her as a mare. She's 6. Like, why are you bringing her back? Usually Chad, we know from Geist, our good friend, that when Chad decides a horse ain't going to run no more, he says, get it the F out of my barn. I'm surprised that this horse has not been retired yet.
It's very interesting. Only 2 runs in the Brown Barn too, which also kind of caught my eye. Prior to that, it was Safi and then another trainer prior to that. So to have 2 runs in the barn and then keep this horse out for as long as you did and then come back in this spot, it does kind of become a head scratcher. I would argue you could make that a positive, that they think this is a stakes quality horse and that's why you held on to it so long. But I don't see that in the form. And so it's hard for me to just make that leap of faith without seeing it once on paper, especially at the 7-2 price. It didn't make a ton of sense to me. I'd rather let that one beat me than add it to the ticket and expand the price there. The 2, I think, gets the lead here. That was a big part of it for me. It's inside speed, like we saw the last time with stalking. I don't think that they're going to have that luxury. Broke from the 8 of 8 horses last time, so it's all the way on the outside. I think that's one of the reasons you saw this horse end up being stalking instead of being on the lead. There's not a ton of other proven speed in here either. You could look at horses like the 5 America's View, but that's a horse that's only been on dirt and been going longer and not making the lead. So that one's a little difficult for me to buy into making the lead. The 8 Runaway Diva would be the other possible lead horse, but also she's never been on the lead. So it's like, I don't see anyone going crazy for it. And because of that, it seems like the 2 may fall right into that gate to wire trip that is so wanted on this Tampa Bay turf course.
Yeah, you think that the 8, the time form rating says the 8's going to be forwardly placed, but you look at all the turf efforts and it's like, this horse has had better chances to do it and didn't.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. The one long shot, we move on, that I thought was interesting is the 1 horse Retired Kathy, coming off of a layoff, hasn't raced since the end of September, but in 3 starts at Tampa Bay Downs on the turf course, 2 wins, the first 2 tries on turf or routing, got wins, nice wins too. And then was second, beaten just a neck out of that. So very consistent. Went to Canterbury, as she's a Minnesota bred. She was running well in those races. Actually won a stakes race that was on the dirt for Minnesota breds. And then she ended with another win on turf. So she's really good on the turf. It's just if you didn't have the 2 and the 6 in here, I think this is the horse that I'd probably put on top because she's really consistent. You just have two better, and this is going to be a theme for the other turf races as well, is you've just got better horses coming into town. This is not a normal day at Tampa. This is a bigger day. The bigger barns are showing up.
Yeah, and she won at this level, right? When she was, well, at the N1X level, I guess. This is N2X, when she was running back at Tampa. So it doesn't feel like it's a huge class test for her, but it definitely feels like a class jump. And specifically because of the day, you are getting better horses, as you noted. One other that I looked at a long time, I couldn't pull the trigger, the 9-horse, All-American Beauty, 6-1 for Shug. Shug's 42% at this meet. Right, he does well at Tampa. Again, it's a more difficult day at Tampa, so you got to take that one with a little bit of grain of salt. But he is 5 for 12, and this is a horse that was in graded stakes in 2023. Had a mess of a 2024 year. Didn't get to the track until October. Only ran twice. Wouldn't be shocked if there's still something there. But again, another one where like I would want 15, 20 to 1 if I was going to take a chance. I think the 8 would be the price if I took a shot and just hope the 8 decides to send, and that the 8 gets the lead and no one catches her, because that to me is the most likely way you pull off an upset here.
You look back the one time that the 9 All-American Beauty raced at Tampa Bay, it was the Grade 3 Florida Oaks off of a maiden win. She goes right into a Grade 3 race, and it's a race where Mission of Joy wins it. She's a multiple stakes winner. She almost won the Pegasus Filly Mare Turf a couple of years ago. Almost won the Just a Game last year at Saratoga. Alpha Bella, really good horse. Who finished second there. So some good horses that she finished 5th in a field of 12, and it wasn't a bad effort at all. So I think that's another one. I'm glad you brought her up, that a little, not scared of, a little worried about, but I also, again, the price is the determining factor.
I mean, you just look at the next race too at Keeneland. $100,000 N1X allowance at Keeneland's a very, very difficult field. Like it could almost be a overnight stakes or low end graded stakes in a lot of ways, and beat Mrs. Astor that day, who is, with a horse that we've talked about.
That's your girl.
That's my girl. Is now graded stakes winner, Mrs. Astor. And so that was a pretty nice win for her there as well. So the 9 to me is the one where, like, if let's say we're sitting there on race day and she's 10 to 1, I'm probably adding her onto the ticket, right?
Yeah, Mike and I are going to try and get through the first leg here with just the 2 and the 6. Mike Lawson using the 9 I saw as well. Race 9 is the Suncoast Stakes. It's 100 mile and 40 yards because they can't run a flat mile, I guess, at Tampa. So why not go a mile and a 16th? So stupid. Anyways, this is the Kentucky Oaks prep race. We've got 8 3-year-old fillies in here. And outside of the 4 Her Laugh, I thought things got interesting. But where'd you go on top?
I went with Her Laugh. I thought she made the most sense by far in this field. It's a horse that came from off the pace, drawing the 11 post when sprinting, stretches out to a mile at Fairgrounds, mile and 70 yards at Fairgrounds, wins that race rather easily after setting the pace. So we've seen a horse that can come from off the pace or be in the lead. I think that matters. Not sure she's able to make an easy lead in this spot, although she does seem like to be the fastest early horse outside of the 8, who's all the way on the outside. So with the draw for Her Laugh, I think she has a good chance to be able to kind of use the natural speed and then decide what to do. And if she decides to go, I like her chances. If she decides to sit, I like her chances. So for me, the 4 was a pretty easy one to put on top.
Same for me. And this is just to agree with everything that she said. You might be thinking, well, why is she here? Well, she's got 2 stablemates for Whitbet. They're fantastic. Simply Joking, undefeated 2-time stakes winner. She's targeting the Silver Bullet Day at Fairgrounds, so you don't want to run Her Laugh against her there. And then her stablemate Drexel Hill is going to go to the Busher at Aqueduct. So he's kind of in this enviable position where he's got to be like, all right, I've got all these. It's almost like Brad Cox has to do. It's like, I got all these great 3-year-old fillies. Can't run them against each other because that's stupid. So let's move them around here. And she was actually scratched from the Martha Washington, which was 1 or 2 weeks ago at Oaklawn Park. And she was a short price on the morning line. She got scratched because Whit Beckman's based in Louisiana. Really shitty weather to get her shipped from Louisiana up to Arkansas, and just literally said, like, I'm not shipping her because I don't know how I'm going to get her there in one piece. So yeah, I'm with you. Everything that you said about the 4 Her Laugh. The next horse I use is the 8 Chloe. There's 2 horses that I use along with the 4, and they're both doing kind of the same thing here, which makes them interesting. First of all, I think she's probably going to be the horse on the lead, even though she's breaking from the outside here. She's got great speed. This is a daughter of Tiz the Law, who debuted at 5.5 furlongs and won by almost 6 lengths. Like, that's just whoa. And what do we know about Tiz the Law horses? You stretch them out and they get better. If you look at the overall stats on dirt, 14% dirt sprinting, 27% dirt routing. You double your chances of winning if you just take the Tiz the Law horse and go from 1 turn to 2 turns. And I think that's really, I looked at that and I was like, that's all I need to know. I've got a great horse who I think is going to, or a horse I think is going to be on the lead. Part of that early pace is wicked fast and is absolutely bred to go 2 turns.
Yeah, this is the one I'm worried about that I left off. I agree with everything you said. You want this horse going 2 turns most likely. I didn't love we debuted on synthetic, and I don't love that we're here at Tampa Bay and that we're not going through the Gulfstream route, because this is a horse that debuted at Gulfstream. That Barbosa is a Gulfstream trainer in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
This is only his 6th starter at Tampa, so you kind of scratch the head of why we're here. Why aren't we staying in Gulfstream Park, where you have bigger purses and probably better competition, but you have bigger purses, and that was the last straw for me between the 2 horses that I decided between, which were the 5 and the 8. I ended up going with the 5 as my price here. But yeah, to me, the 8 makes a ton of sense. I kind of wish this was the 3rd race, not the 2nd race. I kind of wish that I'd seen her on dirt before, and I kind of wish we were at Gulfstream. And all that stuff added up to enough for me to be like, okay, I'm willing to take a shot against the 8, who I just don't think controls the race early. I think the 4 has enough speed where you're not going to just give up the lead and let the 8 crawl out there. The other part of it too is the mile and 40 yards, not great for Chloe here. If this was a mile and 16th, like you mentioned, much better situation from a gate perspective, because the mile comes up real fast, that first turn at Tampa. And what Chloe is able to do, like if she clears, then yeah, she's legitimately got a shot. If she doesn't clear, it is very hard to win from an outside draw there at Tampa. Second horse on for me here was the 2-horse Dancing Magic. Good name, right, Magic? First time we're going 2 turns, which is, I would say, one of the bigger question marks. But this horse showed speed in every one of her races, even though it doesn't really look like it. Like, you see 21-3 at Keeneland, she's a length off. You see 22-1, she's 3 lengths off. 22 flat, she's 6 lengths off. So she's been sub 24 in every one of those starts. So she's got tactical speed. She should get a very good position, should be able to secure the rail on the first turn and be able to kind of decide when to pop off that rail on the second turn. This is also your most experienced horse in the field. The upside, probably not as high as some of the other horses, but it feels like her floor is significantly higher. I liked her 6 furlong race at Keeneland, 4 back when Pratt rode her. And just the fact that you got Pratt to ride her at Keeneland, I think speaks volumes for this horse. Michael Campbell, not a well-known trainer, just 54 starts last year all season. And it's the last part for me that's interesting is like when you have these smaller barns, I always want to look at what their stakes numbers are. Like, do they win stakes with their horses? And Michael Campbell's 2 for 10 in stakes races. And so that to me tells me he's not overplacing a lot of the time with his horses into these stakes races. I mean, you'll see some 0 for 23s, 0 for 28s, and that is pretty telling to me, especially with the smaller barn. So the fact that he's 2 for 10, I think is a positive sign for the 2 Dancing Magic. I don't hate the 8-1 price either.
I had this horse ranked 4th, and I went 3 deep, so don't dislike this at all. You've got Alvarado riding, who's 4 for 8 at the meet with a second. One of those wins was in the Gasparilla last out. It's a daughter of Good Magic, so stretching out to 2 turns. If she wins, you're gonna go, well, yeah, it's a Good Magic going 2 turns. Of course, she can won. It's not a huge surprise there. The dam side gets a bit sprinty, but also can say that for the 8 horse, and I really like the 8 a lot in here too. So like that. So just to let everybody know, we're both trying to beat the 2-1 morning line favorite in here, Lacara. Neither of us using the 6 in there. Third up for me, and I think this is the other one we agreed on, is the 5 Junta, 12-1. And I said with the 8 Chloe, the other 2 horses I'm using with the 4, the 8 and the 5, they're doing something that's similar. They're both started out sprinting. They got wins on debut, and their sires, Constitution, who sire Tiz the Law, they want to go 2 turns. This is a horse that I thought had a really nice break. Everything went really well in that 7 furlong debut, which also a good sign. She debuted at 7 furlongs. That indicates we're thinking 2 turns down the line. Really nice stalking position, riding the rail under Chili Willie Martinez, and then past the pace setter on the inside in the turn, which is not something a horse usually does in their debut when they're 2 years old. And then, okay, so she didn't win by 20 lengths or whatever, but if you watch the stretch, she only needed to get reminded a couple of times. And Martinez knew, like, they're not catching me. Like, I'm just going to get her there. We're going to get the win. We're going to think about the next step. And we show up here in a stakes race. I think that speaks volumes about what Junta could do.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. The fact that we won at 7 furlongs in first asking jumped off the page to me. The fact that this is a Constitution, much like what you said with the Tiz the Laws in the 8, that probably wasn't wanting one turn anyway. Like the should get better as we go 2 turns of distance. So the breeding is here for me of the 5. The fact that we were able to win at that distance is a big thing. Was 7-1 on debut, so didn't get bet off the board, but still was really professional. You mentioned winning on the inside. Like we always talk about, hey, can a 2-year-old win from off the pace? Can a 2-year-old win on the inside? Junta kind of checked from all those boxes through that race, and so a logical step forward here to me makes her a real player. And it doesn't feel like you have a world beater in here. I think with the Tampa races, a lot of times with the preps, we say that like you're getting the B team of the big guys. You're not getting the A team like you are at Gulfstream, Oaklawn, Santa Anita, wherever it is. And because of that, you can have horses that jump up and surprise in a lot of cases. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're trying to take some shots here. Yeah, you mentioned the 6 Lucara. Neither of us using her. I don't think either of us are using Italian Soiree, the 3 either.
We're breaking the rule of not using Pratt in this, which is, I was like, ooh.
Yeah. And for the 6, for me, it was like, I can't with the price. Coming back off this long of a layoff was really flat in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Now, yeah, this is a lighter field, obviously. But when you go back, like, wasn't overly impressed with what she was able to do at that mile distance at Churchill, which, by the way, is 1 turn, not 2. And so there was just enough for me to get off of the 6 at the price. The 3 feels like a better turf horse than a dirt horse. And I'm kind of surprised that we are lying here. But she was the favorite against Queens McGee back in the Adirondack. Again, that's 6.5 furlongs. So it just enough for me to kind of try and beat both of those horses here.
Yeah, fully agree with you there. The 3 horse is a half sibling to a horse named Be Better that Rapoli stable bred in Cap. This is Rapoli stable bred horse. It was a 9 furlong stakes winner at Laurel Park. I think it was the deputed testimony at 4 years old. So there is some breeding that says, yeah, dirt routing can handle it. But I'm with you. I think that the fact that out of the Adirondack where you finished, okay, you're 9 lengths behind, but you finished second at Saratoga in a stakes race. And then they go right to the turf and then stay at the turf. I'm like, I'm with you. This is probably a horse that's going to ultimately be better turf. And they're just kind of seeing, what do we got here? Do we maybe have an Oaks horse? Probably not.
Yeah, they add the blinkers too, which is something Terra Nova has not added in the last 4 years, 5 years, something like that.
Yeah, it's not his best angle here, but he's getting Pratt aboard. So if you like the 3, you've got Pratt Daddy going for you. Third leg of the Tampa Bay Downs late pick 5 is going to be race 10. It's a 1 16th turf route for 12 3-year-old maiden fillies. We also have 2 also eligibles down there. This is a really good field. Where'd you go on top?
Yeah, this is a fun field. You got 2 Chad Browns, who are your 2 favorites, 9-5 and 2-1. I separated them. Give me the 9 portfolio duration on top here. The first time starter for Chad Brown and Flavian Pratt. Everything looks like a Chad Brown starter that is going to fire first time. Love the breeding. DeBowie, son of DeBowie, Knight of Thunder, the father. You've got Dancel on the bottom side here for the mother. This is a horse where it just feels like they're going to win with. And when you look at Brown and Pratt together, 4 times at Tampa over the last 2 years, 4 winners. Average payout, $4.05. So winning with chalk. But when Pratt rides for Brown, they end up winning. And when I look at the 7, which is the other Brown in here, I kind of don't love the fact we lost the first race at Aqueduct, where you had the lead and you kind of gave it up. And I really don't like the fact that you lost the second race at Tampa, where you had the lead and gave it up. And I'm just not willing to take a short price for a third time on a horse that's already lost twice in that manner.
So you mentioned that the Pratt Chad Brown stat. Those 4 races were all last weekend. Flavian Pratt before last weekend had never raced at Tampa Bay Downs. And he had 5 mounts. 4 of them were for Chad. The one time he didn't ride for Chad, it didn't win. So helps us with the Italian Soiree, Chuck, in the previous race. I'm telling myself there. But yeah, I'm with you. Of course, the last 6 turf races at Tampa that Chad Brown has entered, he's won. There's 1 or 2 of them. I know one for sure. He had multiple entries, and he went first and third in that race. Pratt was on the winner. Pratt's on this horse. I went 3 deep in here. The last horse I put on was the 7 Lying by Omission, the other Chad Brown horse. Just because this horse has got 2 races of experience, is now going to be second off of the layoff, but does have a sprint sire. And so that's probably why at a couple of 1 16th races, you saw this horse lose as the favorite. You're getting Irad aboard. Maybe that helps her finish the job a little bit better. But my second horse in here, I went with the 4 Mona L at 8-1. I think there's one horse that's going to go gate to wire. It's going to be the 4 horse. Last time out, she broke from post 8 going a mile. She was 3 wide on the front end, and then she ends up running second. The 2 horses that were with her on the front second to last and last. So they finished 9th and 10th, way behind her. The winner is Chad Brown, 7-5, came from the clouds as he's wont to do. But the barn, Richard Hendricks, is 25% second off of the layoff. Hendricks barn at the meet, 6 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds. So if somebody beats portfolio duration, I think it's because they go gate to wire, and maybe the portfolio has a little bit of a struggle with some traffic. The 4, I know exactly what she's doing. That's going to the front, trying to hold him off.
Yeah, 4 makes a ton of sense. You mentioned the flip from the post position perspective. Not going to be wide, clearly inside speed. There's no speed in the 1, 2, and 3. Monel has one choice to try and win this race, and that's go to the front and hold on as long as you can. Getting second off a layoff, I think that's a positive. This barn's 25% second off a layoff and 20 efforts. Did show the ability to close a little bit in the first race at Delaware as well. So if something goes wrong, at least you have a little bit of a backup plan. But it sure feels like if anyone goes gate to wire here, it's Monel. And again, on the Tampa turf course, you would very much like the horse that's going to win the race to the first turn. So Mona L makes the ticket for me. And then last one on for me, I went 3 deep here. Just give me the unknown. I'm going to go to the 11 horse here, who is a first-time starter for Brennan Walsh, Majestic Drive. Gallardo picks up the mount. Walsh 16% first time out. Got a interesting dirt, turf workout pattern. Broke out of the gate twice on the dirt. I thought those were good enough workouts. And we always talk about debuting at a mile. Brennan Walsh debuting at a mile, 16%, one of the better people out there. So I'll take a little bit of a shot with the unknown factor of the 11 here as well.
4th horse for me. Yeah, and I can understand based on the price there why you'd want to
I threw out
that
the 7.
direction.
Threw out the 7 and put in the 11 just to take a bigger shot at the price.
Yeah, totally understand that. And it's worth noting that if either Irad or Pratt wasn't here at Tampa today, Gallardo would most assuredly be on the other Chad Brown horse that's available there. So a nice little pickup there for Brennan Walsh. He doesn't use Gallardo very often. They're not usually in the same circuit. So a really good pickup there. All right, the penultimate leg of the Pick 5 at Tampa Bay Downs on Saturday, February 8th. The main event is the no longer grade 3, but it is the Sam F. Davis Stakes. Mile and a 16th for 10 3-year-old colts and geldings. And of the sequence, Mike and I were very, very close on 4 of them. This is the one race where we're not even in the same zip code with who we use. So I'm looking forward to this discussion. Where'd you go on top?
Yeah, I'm not surprised we're in different zip codes. I kind of went off the reservation a little bit with 2 of my 3 horses. Top pick for me is going to be the 7 poster here. Gallardo hopefully can go back-to-back races at middling prices. Saw this horse twice on the dirt or on the turf. Won both of those races. They made the decision to flip over to the Remsen, go 1 1/8 miles over Aqueduct's course. Pratt took the mount that day, and here we are coming back, staying on the dirt, trying to get some more points. The race sets up perfectly for poster to me. I think a big part of this race is going to be what is the early pace like, and will that pace be able to hold up? I don't think it will. I think this has an opportunity to be an absolute collapse race, and that's one of the main reasons I'm looking at a lot of the different closers. If you go through the past performances, you've got the 1 horse here, Campale, who's shown a ton of speed in the past. The 3, John Hancock, who's shown a ton of speed in the past. You've got the 4, Dr. Ruben M., who has shown a ton of speed in the past. Owen Almighty, the 6, wants to go. And these are all horses that have 119 plus early time form ratings. You can go a full day and not see a single horse with a 119 plus time form rating. And we've got 3 in the 120s and another one at 119. And the past performances back up all of those as well. And maybe John Hancock isn't that fast of a horse, but because that was the first race, you get a faulty time form rating. I could 100% see that where the 3 decides to stalk instead of go, but that doesn't make up for the fact that like the 1 is going to be part of this pace drawing the rail. And the 4 is going to be a part of the pace because that's really his only way to win. And Evan Almighty has never not been a part of the pace. So it feels like you're almost guaranteed at least 3 horses go. To me, that really sets up for the 7 horse poster here to have the best chance. This horse was very good on dirt last time. I don't see a reason why this horse wouldn't be good on dirt again. I would say the big knock is that was kind of a grinder race. This is not going to be a grinder race as we're shorting up in distance. And the horses behind poster weren't great. Our boy Tux there ends up running 3rd in that race.
Our former boy Tux.
Yeah, our former boy. Not exactly flattering poster here. But it does feel like the setup here is right for the 7 horse posters. That's going to be my top pick.
I feel like he's the horse. If this is the Tampa Bay Derby, we're going to 1 1/8 miles, I'd be more interested in him. I didn't love that. I understand why, but I didn't love that Pratt got off and is going to ride John Hand. Now he's riding for Brad Cox. That's why he switched over there to that horse. But Owen Hardy's barn is also like, he had a fantastic 2024. I remember like Ellis, it was like every single maiden he was throwing out there was winning and at a price, and it was crazy. And this is one of them, right? One on the turf at over 5-1. He's 1 for 15 so far to start 2025. It's not been the best start to the year for Owen Hardy, but he's doing okay. The Remsen race, now I will say in his defense, it says that he was up by 2 lengths, wins by a nose. Press said after the race that he pressed the button too quickly on Poster, and that he got a little green, and that's probably why the horse almost got caught. But I'm taking a shot against. Poster's not a horse that I've been really that impressed with for Derby purposes. I think that he's going to go back to the turf. I think he got a nice win in the Remsen. That was great. I think he's ultimately going to head over back to the turf, though, for his best success.
And who in this race are you impressed with from a Derby purpose perspective?
I went too deep. And those are the two I think move on. Top pick for me, of course, it's going to be the number 3, John Hancock. It's Pratt riding for Cox. Cox is 2 for 2 at Tampa Bay Downs. This is a horse, okay, 6 furlong debut at Tampa. You're debuting at Tampa, not fantastic, but there's no world beaters in here, right? At least on paper. And it was a really good win, and it wasn't expected to go, right to the front the way he did and just draw off to win by 3 lengths. He wasn't really asked much in this stretch. Another one that's by Constitution. We just talked to 2 races ago in the Suncoast. Constitution, 15% dirt sprint, 17% dirt route. And this is a horse that's also a half to Speech. If you remember a couple years ago, Speech won the Grade 1 Ashland at Keeneland. So there is high-level 2-turn dirt success within the family there. So, I'm going to go with the 3 in here. I think, jumping out to the lead, being part of the early mix with Pratt aboard, you can trust that he's going to read the pace scenario as it starts to unfold and think, do I need to take this horse back a little bit and try and get up for the win? He'll do that. So I put the 3 on top, but it's going to be a short price. I think 3-1 is no. I think we're looking at what, like 6-5, 7-5 for this horse.
So I was saying somewhere between even money and 7-5, I think is what we likely see John Hancock go off at. I think the big key to John Hancock's race is, can he stalk? If John Hancock can stalk, then watch out. Probably should be 6-5 in the race. I'm not willing to take that price, considering I can't answer that question, right? But yeah, if anyone goes to the Derby from this race, it's probably John Hancock. But we just don't know if the talent is there yet, because we just have one race where they didn't get off to the best start in that race either, and still showed that speeds, which I thought was pretty impressive. But yeah, to me, it's what do you do? What do you do with the 3? And do you want to take the short price? I decided I did not want to. If you want to go 4 deep and add the 3 here for me, you can. And then bring the ticket up to like $81, something like that. So don't hate the idea of that if you like the 3. Second pick for me here, I am going to go to one of the speeds. Give me the 1 horse Camp Hope. And this is one of those spots where sometimes in these races, you see a horse that has had trouble breaking through, and Camp Hope is yet to break the maiden, but has shown ability every step of the way. And I thought the last race was actually a pretty decent race. Ended up losing to Grande at Gulfstream Park going a mile, but broke from the 7 post that day, had to cross over and just kind of got tired, breaking from the rail. And I don't know, let's say 1 out of every 5 times when you have these speed duels, it doesn't manifest itself. And it's often the horse who's on the rail who ends up in the lead. And I feels like here, let's say the 3 doesn't go, and let's say the 4 decides to stalk or doesn't break very well, and all of a sudden the 6, Owen Almighty, isn't pressing. Camp Hope's the one that can get loose. I don't think any of the other speeds get loose unless Camp Hope doesn't break, but I think Camp Hope has the most ability here to try and get loose. So I did add the 1 on as my second horse in here. Who was your second pick, Magic?
I went just to the outside there with the number 2 horse, Treaty of Rome. Now, I know the fact that this horse was second beaten in neck behind Guns Loaded, and Guns Loaded sucked so bad in the Holy Bull. That doesn't look great. That just means we're going to get a better price. That's what that tells me. This is a horse that I think is going to be better at 2 turns, just like I think the 1 is when you have Awesome Again as your dam sire. Won the Breeders' Cup Classic when the Queens played a horse that definitely excelled at 2 turns. That's going to help the 1 stretching out. I think the 2 is also going to succeed stretching out. This is a horse who's actually a full sibling to Donna Veloce. How about a call back to the past on the Magic Mike Show? That horse won the Grade 3 Santa Isabel, second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies as a maiden, right? And then second in the Grade 1 Starlet by a narrow margin as well. So lots of good breeding from that sense. Uncle Mo is the sire. Montjou is the dam sire. He is absolutely a long runner there. And I thought it was interesting that Chad Brown gets this horse for Coolmore, and they go, hey, we're not going to put it on turf. When you look at the dam, you're like, oh, that's
Yep.
Irish breeding. You're on turf. It's like, well, maybe not. Dylan Davis keeps them out here. I really thought this was a 2-horse race between the 2 and the 3, so that's as far as I went.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I can't do it. You say the guns loaded things means we'll get a better price. I think it means you're cooked. Like Guns Loaded was so bad, and we like talked about the Gallop Out where Guns Loaded beat this horse on the Gallop Out as well. It's like, well, what does that tell me about Treaty of Rome now? So I can't with the 2, especially at the price. We'll see what this horse ends up going off at, but I felt like 15-1 was more of the appropriate price here versus the 6-1 number, and it feels like that race actually hinders the price more than it helps it. You're also got Chad Brown on dirt. You're going to get that horse bet. And I'm not a big Chad Brown on dirt guy. We've gone over that multiple episodes in the past year.
Yeah, you were so against Chad Brown on dirt that Aaron made a video for the YouTube channel about it because he couldn't stand hearing that anymore.
Yep.
Sorry,
Yep. He hates it. I'm gonna stick with it. Keep taking your short price Chad Browns on turf. Although this one isn't that short of a price, I should give some respect. Last horse on for me here. Give me the 9, Smokin' Bay. I don't think this race is very good. I'm not sure if Smokin' Bay is any good. The last time we saw Smokin' Bay run was a 1/16 in Puerto Rico. Won very, 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 very easily. Now switches over to the D'Angelo barn and it tries to take on American Company for the first time. Paco Lopez takes them out. He does well with D'Angelo. I'm willing to take a shot here, especially after you see that work 47-3 over the Prairie Meadows dirt track there, or Palm Meadows dirt track. I'm sorry there. Yeah, let's take a swing. Let's take we talk about knowns and unknowns. The 9 is the only unknown in this race. Well, there's a couple unknowns, I should say, but the real complete wild card in this race. And I don't think anyone in this race is very good. And if I don't think anyone in this race is very good, and there's a complete wild card who's won a grade 1, but it was a Puerto Rico grade 1, not a grade 1 on this soil. I'm willing to take a little bit of a shot, especially when it's D'Angelo and Lopez connections I respect and a price of 20-1. So yeah, give me the 9 is the final horse on the ticket.
Yeah, definitely an unknown for this runner, and I thought it was notable that the horse comes to America and goes to D'Angelo, and he throws the horse right into a stakes race there. As far as the siblings go, there was just one older sibling that ran. Ran. Her first career start, she refused to rate. The second time, she was last of 6, and then she didn't run again after that. You're going to get a great price, and you've got great jockey trainer combinations. The blinkers are going on, so one of those works in there. Those 4 published works for D'Angelo. He probably at one point realized we need to put blinkers on, and then you see some nice improvements. So I don't hate it. You're going to get a fantastic price on here, and it's worth noting also. I did have your 1 horse ranked 3rd. If I went 3 deep, I would have thrown that horse in there as well. We're not using the 2-1 favorite, Owen Almighty. Irad's riding for the 3rd straight time, rightfully disqualified from winning the Pasco, but did cross the wire first. I thought if you're going to take this horse at 2-1, Mike, in this race, you needed to see him win the Pasco by a lot more than a single length, because Naughty Rascal, neither of us are touching at 6-1. And this horse, three times the price difference there. Ugh.
Well, I think if you're playing Owen Almighty, you're singling. To me, that's the big. If you're willing to say he should be the favorite here, you better just hit the single button, because that means you're saying that these horses aren't very good, or that Owen Almighty is going to finally take the step forward that I think everyone wants him to take, and we haven't seen it. He did not win the Pasco by open lengths, right? He did not win the Iroquois against Jonathan's Way. He won the previous 2 races and looked very good, but we have not seen him doing that at any point after that in his career. And you've kind of hit that ceiling in a lot of ways for Owen Almighty. So if you like Owen Almighty here, to me, this is a single. You just hit the 6 button and you spread in some other races and hope to catch prices.
I'm looking through, I missed some of the comments in the chat. The previous race had a horse named Ticking Time Blonde. Has anyone ever been with a Ticking Time Blonde? That's a good question there.
Yeah.
Very good. And
that's
Mona,
the question that'll get you in trouble.
Well, it is Pedlo. Rob said that Mona made him think of Who's the Boss. Great call out. Didn't think about that one. And then, Carrera says, you take Mona Breeder, you got Pony Dance.
That's phenomenal. That was a very, very good one-liner.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. All right, we've got. Wait, Ed says if no one's using the 6, I'll guess I'll use him. That's true.
Yeah,
Hey,
like,
you want to go against us here? This is, but make sure you single, Ed. That's
if
what
you
we're
like
saying.
the 6, single the 6. Like I get it. I just, to me, the price is too short, and I could never single the 6 here, and so that makes it hard for me to use the 6 here because all of a sudden I'm going 4 or 5 deep with a favorite and some other prices that aren't crazy. Like, yeah, I'd rather just try and beat the 6 than use the 6.
Just feels like a sprinter, not just because of the breeding, but the way the horse has been campaigned. All right, one last race to go at Tampa Bay Downs. The nightcap is going back to the turf. We've got 12 older males and an also eligible. There it is, Pet Mat at the N1X allowance level, another 1.125 turf route, and I went 5 deep. I was like, I'm all over the place here. I got prices. I got a couple short. The problem, Mike, you look on here. You got the 8-5 favorite who's in the 10 post. You've got the 3-1 second choice who's in the 12 post, and they got to come out of that chute and make kind of a half turn onto the stretch. So this seems like it almost sets up for a long shot to win, doesn't it?
It does. I had the 10 in second, so I'm going to use the 10. I do respect the heck out of this horse. Looked awesome last time for Chad Brown. Gallardo rides back, and you would expect that horse is going to run pretty well here. So I do think you got to at least use the 10 in here. I didn't go that deep because I'm using the 10. And I mean, honestly, I would wish I could have gone 4 deep, but because of costs, I did not go 4 deep in this spot. So the horse on top for me was a 7 here. Why not me? We've talked about speed on the turf. This one feels like your speed on the turf. If you look to the inside, no one can really threaten this horse up front. Maybe the one decides to try and cause a little bit of a problem, but it feels like the 7 is just faster. If the 7 can win to the race to that kind of half turn, I think the 7 controls this race, and why not me all of a sudden becomes very dangerous up front. So I'll go with the 7. Why not me on top here, Magic?
If I went 5 deep. If I went 6 deep,
I don't know if you can
7 on here.
I don't know if you can use that when it's 6 deep.
The speed angle is great. You know, it's been the last race was the first time the horse missed the board, but it was also, you know, a nose and a half length away from second in there. I think my biggest issue why I left the 7 off is I'm worried that 9 furlongs is too far. I think this is a mile and a 16th at best, because that horse had the lead and then got caught and kind of faded a bit. Now you're going to go back to Morales. You had Hector Diaz aboard that day. You go back to Morales, and maybe that helps because Morales was aboard the last 2 times that the horse had run well at Tampa Bay Downs. Top pick for me, I did use the 10. I know I was saying you get the problem about there. Everything that you mentioned is why you would like this horse. Again, I'll bring it up. Pratt's in town. Pratt has ridden this horse twice before. Pratt's not riding the horse here, but Gallardo was aboard.
A little more sense because Gallardo won last time, though.
Exactly. And respect anytime a trainer, especially a big-time trainer, will go back to the same jockey instead of using Pratt or instead of using Irad. I don't think Irad was going to be available for him because he's on the 12 for Safi. But if you forget that it's a Chad Brown trained horse, the 10's never run a bad race ever. It's just been kind of bad in terms of Chad's standards, where he's like, it took me 7 starts to get this horse. That's what Chad Brown sounds like
to win.
Yeah, I had to go back to Tampa for a third try.
Back to Tampa. There you go.
Lost the photo the first 2 times you were there. I noticed he's not using Sammy Camacho. He's like, not Camacho couldn't get this horse. You had 2 tries, Sammy, and we're not going there. Second choice for me, I went with the 12, Asan. It's Irad riding for Safi. It was a mile race last out and got steadied at the start and still at 9 lengths behind the early lead. Rallies to finish third, beaten less than a length. Comes back to Tampa, now stretching out to a mile and an 1/8. Into Mischief as a sire. It starts to get a little questionable there, but it is Safi, and it'll be second start off of a 6-month layoff, and you're getting Irad aboard. So, I went 5 deep in here. All things considered, I'm going to make excuses for the 12 and use it.
Yeah, I get it. The fact it was first Safi is what makes that one interesting, because like I could poke a lot of holes in the races prior to that, but none of them were Safi, and so that's like all right. Only other thing, like, why are we at Gulfstream if we're not that good? Like, if we're good, like it doesn't it just say that there's a ceiling to this horse? The fact that we're staying at Tampa instead of going to Gulfstream, and then the 12 post and the price, and the fact that Irad's there probably gets more bet. Third pick for me, so I was 7-10. Give me the 3-horse Noble Factor here. This one I think is a really, really interesting. Broke the maiden and then took a decent amount of time off from May 3rd, 2024, all the way to January 18th, 2025. Came back off the debut, drew the 10 of 10 post, so all the way on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like hung wide the whole time. Ended up losing a heart bob, a head bob with the 4 Heath guard between second and third. And now you get a significantly better post. You're going from the 10 down to the 3, especially with this little weird turn. You're getting second off this really long layoff. It just feels like you're going to get a significantly better effort. And then on top of that, like breaking out of the 10 post, if you look at the distance behind for this horse, so 1 1/8, you would think you're not going to be the farthest back you've ever been in a race at the first call. But that's where the 3 was because of the situation, because of the post. You can see the lost ground when you look through the previous races. I mean, going a 1 1/16, we're 5 lengths back. Going a 1 1/16, we're on the lead. Going a 1 1/8, the last time we were 3 lengths back, 2 lengths back, going a 1 1/16. To me, there's just a lot of things that don't jump out at you that went wrong, but clearly went wrong for this horse. And a lot of it was because of that post position. So going from that 10 post down to the 3 post, I think makes a big difference. Love me some second off the layoff, especially that long of a layoff. So the 3 noble factor makes the ticket.
Third choice for me, and Ed Burke agrees with us as well. Everything that you mentioned is great. The Dam was an 11 furlong turf stakes winner, was 2 times graded stakes placed. One of those was a grade 1, going either 8.5 or 10 furlongs. So distance is the best. And you really, so many things up against this horse. The 10.5-month layoff, the horrible post position, and still the fact that the horse was second by head at the top of the stretch and kind of faded just a little bit late there, lost a head bob to the 4 that neither of us are using. So many reasons you can project improvement for this horse. Whereas with the 4 is just run back-to-back, same exact races. And just like, we know what that horse is, and it's not good enough to beat, I don't think, all of these horses in here. So yeah, we agree on that. You went 3, 7, 10. I went 3, 10, 12, and then I used 2 more in here. I put the 11 on. A lot of this is because it's Mark Cassidy bringing this horse in. Sheriff Alley, a son of American Pharaoh that has yet to try turf. Tried to get on it twice. Twice was moved to the synthetic at Gulfstream and then at Woodbine there, and was run okay. Part of me is a little worried that this horse peaked early in the career because he had 2 wins in a second to start off at age 2 and 3. And then everything since then has been pretty hit and miss, but hasn't put together back-to-back races since way back in March of 2020, so 11 months ago. So now we're going to put back-to-back races and finally going to get on the turf course. Dylan Davis for Mark Cassidy is an amazing combination if you're playing Gulfstream Park. Don't leave those horses off of any tickets for you. I just think it's a horse that at a price, 15-1, hopefully going to get a lot of that. I don't know if it'll be 15-1 because the horse has been bet every start a little bit, but I thought that was worth using. And then I also put the 8 reminder on here at 10-1. This is a horse that's been running only at Gulfstream Park on the synth and the turf. So switching from Gulfstream to Tampa, I think we both consider that like a little bit of class relief.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a positive here. The 4 turf races at Gulfstream Park, 3 of them were seconds. You were second by a neck in a stakes race at age 2, and then came out of that to face Florida Breds, beating second to neck. A synthetic race that was rained off the turf. The one time that Bravo was aboard, things didn't go well, but then went to Irad, finished second, and now you're getting Paco Lopez aboard. And as you mentioned with the Sam F. Davis runner that's coming in from Puerto Rico, they're really good together. They're 2 for 6 at Tampa. They're 19% overall. And I think the fact that this is another one like the 11, getting onto turf is the better surface. So looking for the 8 to take a step forward as well.
Yeah, second time blinkers for the 8 as well. And another horse that maybe is more forwardly placed than you would expect. Maybe one that decides to try and outrun the 7 there to the first turn because Paco is so aggressive. The 8, for me, the state bred competition was the biggest problem. The last 5 in state bred, we're getting back to open company here. So that kind of like negates the drop from Gulfstream to Tampa in a lot of ways in my mind. And on the 12, real quick, it's not that Curtis, this race isn't at Gulfstream. It's the fact that they had him in their barn for months and didn't start him at Gulfstream. So the previous race on December 24th was at Tampa, and he actually was at Gulfstream, and then they moved him to Tampa. So it's just like that part of it to me is more of the concern. The 11 horse, that was the horse I wanted on the ticket and just could not shrink the other races enough to get the 11 on the ticket here. So if you wanted to add one horse in the sequence, to me, Sheriff Ali is the horse that you add. Cassie, when he has horses that go through the Gulfstream Woodbine and then end up at Tampa, they often run very, very, very well. You can see that there's talent in this horse and what this horse did in that 3-year-old season. And then things just kind of, I guess, 2-year-old season. And then things just kind of didn't go right last year and couldn't get to the track. And now you're getting second off the layoff. You're switching from Gulfstream to Tampa here. I mean, to me, it makes the 11 makes a ton of sense at 15-1 as well. So if I was going to add anyone, that would be the horse I would go with.
I don't think we didn't miss the last part of that comment, Manlow, about they didn't want to shuttle him back when it closes in 2 weeks at Gulfstream. Manlow Racetracks LLC. Talk to John Stewart at Resolute Racing. See if you can get him involved. Because the idea of John Stewart and Resolute Racing owning Gulfstream Park and forcing Mike Rapoli to run there at his track. Would
Rapoli still take that route to the Triple Crown? Or would he just be like, screw you, I'm running at Oaklawn?
Only because he's tied to Pletcher so strongly. That's the only reason. If he could convince Brittany Russell to bring some horses to like Tampa or somewhere warm for the winter, he'd probably switch to her. All right, that's good for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. We'll give out our tickets one last time. If you're watching us, thank you for joining. Take a look down below for the audio listeners. We'll read off our tickets one final time. I'm going to go 2-6 with 4-5-8, with 4-7-9, with 2-3, with 3-8, 10, 11, 12 for $90. Mr. Somich.
I'm going to play an $81 ticket for 50 cents here. Give me 2-6 with 2-4-5, with 4-9-10, with 1-7-9, with 3-7-10. If you're going to add anyone, I'd add the 11 in the last leg.
Hang on. It was 4-9. Were you 4-9-10 or 4-9-11? You're 4-9-11 in race 10.
Race 10 on 4-9-11.
There you go. Okay. Just want to make sure we had that right. You'd said 10, but just want to make sure we got that. Okay, cool.
Okay. So
it's race 10.
2-6 with 2-4-5, with 4-9-11, with 1-7-9, with 3-7-10.
All right. The thing that Shotty's been waiting for 59 minutes. She's ready to hear your best Super Bowl prop bets, and as am I. I'm very excited about this. Go ahead.
Favorite prop bet for me is Mahomes over completions. You can get him at 23.5. This is a Eagles defense that rushes 4 and drops 7, which means that Mahomes is going to be forced to throw the ball short. It's something that they have adjusted for about 3 years ago after they won the Super Bowl. We saw a lot of cover 2 defense, too high defense. That's not what the Eagles play. They play cover 6 and quarters coverage, but it also allows you to be able to run up to the receiver when they make the catch. I think that Mahomes gets a lot of completions, maybe not a lot of yards, but I do think that he gets enough completions here to go over the 23.5. I like Barkley over 22.5 carries. This is a Kansas City run defense that was top 5 through 11 weeks in the NFL. Since then, they've been ranked 22nd in the NFL in run defense. My expectation is you see Philadelphia test that early and often with Barkley, so over 22.5 carries there for him. I like longest run under 9.5 yards for Isaiah Pacheco. He got injured in the middle of the season. He is not 100% yet. He doesn't have the same explosiveness that he had. He's played in 9 games this season, and only 3 of those 9 has he run for 10-plus yards on a single carry. In the 2 playoff games, we've seen him get 5 carries in each of those games. So clearly Hunt is the bell cow back, getting 15 and 17 in those 2 games. So I don't think Pacheco gets the opportunities, and when he does, he's not very explosive with them. So we'll take Pacheco under 9.5 longest run. I like Hunt over 10.5 carries. That's, I think, 11.5 in the market now. I would still take Hunt over 11.5. He is one of the, like I said, he's the bell cow now. He's gotten 15-plus carries in the last 2 games. I expect that to continue, especially against this Philly defense. I like Xavier Worthy, over 5.5 rush yards in the game. We've seen Andy Reid give a run to a wide receiver or a tight end in 20 straight playoff games now. Worthy has gotten at least 1 carry in 15 of the 18 Chiefs games this year. He's gotten 2 or more carries in 4 of the last 5, and he should have had a 3rd carry against Buffalo, but Buffalo challenged the play before it could be run. It was a end around to Worthy, so he's clearly going to be part of the running game for Kansas City here as well. And then I like Marquise or Hollywood Brown. I'll go with Hollywood Brown. First quarter reception yards over 4.5 here. He's played 4 games with Kansas City this year. He has had at least 1 target in the first quarter of all 4 of those games. We've seen Reid consistently try and get him involved early. I think you're going to see Reid try and get him involved early again here. So first quarter over 4.5 reception yards for Hollywood Brown.
I love it. Speaking of Hollywood Brown, did you know? I found this earlier today, and I've been saving it to bring it up to today. You can bet in certain markets what book AJ Brown will be shown reading on the sideline.
Yep, that is out there.
That's out there. I'll read off some of them. The Bible and anything by Shakespeare are both 9-1. 50 Shades of Grey is 20-1. Football for Dummies is 50 for 1. I thought that was
Interesting choice.
Yeah, interesting. One of the options is Brown Bear, what do you see? Which I couldn't believe. I was like, that's got to be just a joke. Because of Jalen Hurts, you can play. You can bet whether or not they play Johnny Cash or Nine Inch Nails' version of Hurt as they go into commercial. You can also bet yes to John Cougar Mellencamp's Hurts So Good as they go into commercials. Those are both plus 150. So fun little things there. You can also bet what color. So you can bet the color of the Gatorade. You can bet what color will be the tie that Tom Brady's wearing, like the main color. Like if it's, got a couple on there. And you can also bet no tie. So if you were going to bet, before I give you the odds, what would you say? What color is Tom Brady wearing?
I would go. Ooh, I'm going to go black.
Okay. Plus 280, third choice. That was my second pick. My top pick is the favorite, and that's blue.
Blue. Yeah.
He's going to go neutral. He's going to go neutral in terms of the colors. No red, no yellow, no green.
Yep. But he owns the Raiders now.
That's true. Ooh.
So that's where I came up with the black, was the Raiders ownership, and why because first off, it's a common tie color. But secondly, you do have that Raiders ownership part that I think plays a little bit of a role. So black to me was the answer there. College team with the most players in Super Bowl. I mean, I almost can't not guess Georgia because of the way that the Eagles have shaped their defense around Georgia, but I can't think of a single Georgia player on Kansas City. Oof. So that
Georgia
one
feels like a really good bet there. I was going to go for something south, like Georgia, Auburn, Clemson, something like down there. Bama, I feel like too many Bama players get drafted too high to go to a good team like the Eagles or Chiefs.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say Georgia. I'll guess Georgia officially, but the Eagles have a ton of Georgia players. Wow, Oklahoma. All right, I mean, I knew it was going to be random. So this one's I think is interesting. Oh, look, here we go. This is actually what I was going to bring up. So over under 24 shots of Taylor Swift. I mean. Depends if Kansas City wins, but over
is it from kickoff through, or are we talking like as soon as the broadcast starts? Because if it's when the broadcast starts, it's absolutely going over.
If they do a kickoff is for all of those. Are they going to be shown? The Taylor proposes or Travis proposes bet. So if he proposes, 8-1 was the last I saw. I kind of like the yes. Like if they win,
no, absolutely not.
I kind of like no. I'm just going to throw it out there. Just I kind of feel like it might be time.
It's overdue time that we stop pretending that this is actually a real thing. Like this is not a real thing, okay? It's just all for publicity.
All right. I do think this is unfortunate. Who will be in Taylor Swift's box? I think would be a very interesting one you could bet on. Because Blake Lively was there, she's not going to be there. Guarantee that. There was a Brittany Mahomes thing, but that's not going to be. It's not. They had a falling out. Caitlin Clark was there for the Buffalo game, I think it was. That was an interesting one. I would be interested to bet who will be in Taylor Swift's box this year. I think that would be an interesting one.
Disagree on Blake Lively being lying. However, Taylor seems really pissed off that she got thrown into that lawsuit. So
I don't think she loved being called a dragon. I don't think that was a positive way to put it.
Yeah, not so great there. Okay. You absolutely, Pedlo, I saw the comment first and thought there's no way this wasn't Pedlo who made this comment.
Yeah,
I can't even read it.
I'm just wondering who would be in Taylor Swift's box at the Super Bowl.
I think the shorter list rather is who wouldn't be.
No, the shortest answer would get you in trouble.
Pedlo's got a couple of guesses. Let's hear them off air, Pedlo. Put them in the comment section because we're over time. Thanks everybody for joining us. Good luck with Tampa this weekend. Good luck with your Super Bowl prop bets. Have a lot of fun. It's going to be a good time. I guess the biggest question is do you think the Eagles are winning, or do you think we've got the first time a team has ever won 3 straight Super Bowls?
I think everything says the Eagles should win. Everything. When you go down the roster, the Eagles are significantly better. The difference is Mahomes. The difference is Mahomes and Hurts and the coaching staff. I think Kansas City wins. I think they win. We'll go 34-26, Kansas City.
I think Kansas City wins. I don't think it's nearly as
Actually-
exciting of a game as that score would suggest. I think it's a lower scoring
I'll
game.
go 27-21.
There you go.
27-21.
Yeah, that's more what I'm thinking there too. But yeah, good luck, everybody. If you want more thoughts on Super Bowl prop bets and all that fun stuff, check out Dudes Who Bet Sports. Papa Dude and Aaron talk through their favorite picks and prop plays. And you've also got Sam F. Davis preview and a Kentucky Derby update over on Blinkers Off. So check those out as well. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He's at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8. Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. What is your VSiN schedule this weekend?
I will be on tomorrow at 3:45 Pacific, 6:45 Eastern for a quick little 15-minute hit, and then be live with a all-encompassing Super Bowl preview show. Matt and I doing 3 hours on Super Bowl props. So we were going through. We're going to start with Kansas City passing, then Philly passing, Kansas City rushing, Philly rushing, all the way down to the gimmicky props. So 3 straight hours of that. That'll be 4 to 7 Pacific, 7 to 10 Eastern. You can find us on YouTube TV, on the VSiN channel, or channel 158 on Sirius XM Radio. And then Sunday, I know you'll all have the game on, but if you want a second screen experience, I will be on during the game. So Matt and I are going to be doing live betting updates of the Super Bowl starting at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern.
Much more enjoyable than listening to the traditional broadcast that goes on and on and on.
It was fun being on last week for the Bills Kansas City game because we get to actually like say what's happening versus kind of sugarcoating everything from an NFL perspective, and then we're just talking like props, like, hey, why aren't they using this guy more? Why aren't they using that guy more? Getting in-game props going, so it's a lot of fun.
It's just like the old school racing dudes live watch alongs on YouTube. We're not going to sit there and go, oh, this horse is this horse is a donkey. He's got a dumbass riding him. That's the kind of stuff.
What the hell are they doing calling that play?
Well, exactly. What are you doing? Why are you running right up that guy's ass? I'll be on FanDuel 9 to noon Saturday and Sunday Pacific time. So check me out. I'll be with Gabby Gaudet on Saturday and then Joaquin Jaime on Sunday. We'll be back next week for another Pick 4. Until then, I'm Magic.
Pick 5. And I'm Mike.
Good luck this weekend with each and every bet you make.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.